Hey everybody, welcome back to NikkiT.live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I'm hanging out with my friend Colby Fayock. Colby, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, I've been pretty excited to chat again. We got to hang out in person at Render last year, not this year.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to finally meet, and you had a great talk there. It was about AI and building like images and video, and it was I don't know if we can find that recording after. I did Render record their talks? I can't remember.
Yeah, they
Uh,
did, but it doesn't have the slides. So like the slides
oh,
kind
okay,
of
okay.
make it. So it's there, but it's just me talking, and nobody wants to just watch me talking, right? So we'll see.
Cool. Well, speaking of you, for folks who might not know who you are, would you mind just kind of saying a few words about yourself and feel free if you want to like dig into like how you got into tech and stuff. I know
Yeah.
people typically enjoy that, but I leave it up to you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm Colby Fayock. I'm the director of developer experience engineering at Cloudinary. I've been doing content creation and just generally engineering for a while. I started off doing UX design and front end engineering, but I started writing blog posts, giving talks, and just got more interesting in the teaching angle of it. So that's why I wanted to do DevRel full time and teach and help people build awesome stuff for the web. So that's how I got here to where I am today, and been having fun doing it at Cloudinary.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, and there's just a lot of cool stuff that we're gonna dig into. We're gonna focus on open graph images today, but there's so much that Cloudinary can do, and also I'll give a disclosure that I did become a Cloudinary ambassador recently, so just
That's
throwing
why
that
you're
out
having
there.
me on.
Yeah, no. I just we've been wanting to hang
I'm
for
just
a bit,
playing around.
anyways.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, no, it's all good. But that said, in all truth, like Cloudinary, just it's a pretty dope service. It's been around for a while. There's like so many new things. Like I was saying, the AI stuff you touched on during your talk last year. There's just all kinds of stuff you can do with images and video, and this is like definitely something I want to dig into today a bit. Not so much the AI aspect, unless it actually
Yeah.
ties into it, but in terms of the open graph images. So like basically when I do these live streams, I create this card for socials, and I have like this template, and then I just go and change the text, and then I ask the person coming on for their headshot, and then I just basically drag it in. I use Affinity and stuff, and we can look at all this just to see like not it's not a pain point. I can do this. I do it all the time. It's not super difficult, but
Mhm.
the thing for me is I would really like to automate this because the less things I have to worry about for streaming, the better. I've already automated like a bunch of stuff. Like I have Airtable that pulls in like the guest title and their name, and then like,
Nice.
uh, you know, I have my schedule that's automated on my website, and that gets pulled in, and so like there's a lot of stuff I don't have to worry about now. The like we were saying, I had a bit of a panic before we started, but I I'm never stressed out about live streaming or like live coding. It's like, can I hear the person and like can I see them? And we had like a minor audio hiccup before we went live,
My
and
fault. It was all my fault.
all good, but I thought it was on my end because like I was mentioning, like I use Arc browser all the time now, and for some reason it
Mm.
was going wonky today. Like I couldn't close windows and stuff, and then so I got rebooted. It was still happening, so I just went nuclear and I uninstalled it, and then I reinstalled it like with whatever the latest build was because I couldn't even update. And it seems fine now, but I thought I had messed up something with like all my settings. But anyways, glad that we're chatting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like for the in terms of the OG images, like I was mentioning this briefly before the stream, but I think it'd be kind of good to show people like what I do currently, and then we can kind of talk about like what can Cloudinary do to help automate this,
Yeah.
um, because it's like I said, one less thing I have to worry about is better for me,
For
because like
sure.
this is like I love streaming, but the less I have to worry about it, the better. So I'm gonna just switch us over to pair programming view here. Oh, and I'm gonna share so you can see this live. I
Yeah,
forgot to
and
turn
it's
that on.
important for like not just it's going to help you feel more comfortable or just like being able to get into the stream quicker and easier, but it's also
Yeah,
giving you more time that you can focus on more interesting things that automation can't do, right?
yeah, exactly. Like ideally, I would like to have everything automated, but there's some things like I can't, like the audio and the video. Like I've tweaked it. It's the kind of thing like I set it at one point and I just don't touch it now.
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, so I'm just gonna load this up. Affinity is just loading. So side note, if you need an alternative to Photoshop, Affinity is like pretty solid.
Yeah.
I've been using it for a while. I can't remember if it was you that mentioned it or my old coworker Christina, who does like a lot of SVG stuff. But I ended up buying like they had that package where you could get all three and it works on iPad too. So
Yeah,
um,
it's solid.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna open up. So I created this template a while ago. So this is what it looks like, and then basically what I do is like I come here and I say this is the title, and then my stuff never changes, but I'll do the guest here, and then I'll just like, I'll just say like Colby at awesome, and then basically I'm gonna pull in a headshot. So I'm just gonna go to Twitter. I'll just go to Twitter to drag in your headshot for a sec here. Open tab. Okay. So let's just drag it in, and then it comes in here, and I can't remember how I set it up, but basically you can in Affinity. I have this thing where it can basically crop it by putting it in this guest placeholder, and
Yeah.
then basically I come. Whoops. Uh, Basically I come here, and then I just move the image till it fits in, and like usually the headshots. This is you have a bigger headshot. I know that's the one I used for this, but this is your Twitter one, which is a little smaller. But like basically this is what I do, and then I save this, and then basically uh, I probably could automate it at some point to upload the YouTube thumbnail maybe, but I use Restream, so I pop it there. But essentially this whole flow, which granted took like maybe a minute, not that long, but like it, when I have guests sign up, like I would rather do this as soon as it pops in Airtable, maybe do a webhook and
Hmm.
say fire off something to Cloudinary, take my kind of template I have, and then fill in the text and the guest info and the image. Like that's ideally what I'd want to do in it. I'm pretty sure this is all possible with Cloudinary, but I definitely like you to correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. So
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, it's completely everything there is completely possible. And the cool thing is that not only could you do that, if you have other use cases with like different sizes and dimensions, you could
yeah.
totally spin up a ton of these, uh, a ton of them for a ton of different episodes with just like a little bit of code. So it makes it really nice to be flexible with that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, just want to give a shout out in the chat. Hey, Todd and Chris, thanks for
Yeah, what's
joining.
up, guys?
I know there's some people on X/Twitter, but it's always hard to tell who's watching. And I don't know about you if you stream to multiple places, or I think you mainly do YouTube content, but
Yeah,
on Twitter it just says like so many people are watching, and I occasionally get people that comment there like, "Hey, how's it going?" or like, "Check this out." But generally, people are just silent on Twitter and they just watch
yeah.
it.
I figure
So,
people passing by and checking it out.
mhm. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, so like you said, this is all possible. So it'd be cool if we could try and do this today. If we don't get all the way, that's fine. It's like it's more just knowing the steps I can take to do it, really. But we'll
Hmm.
see how far we can get. So Um, we were talking briefly before the stream, and we can probably just fire up a Next.js app. And I know you were mentioning this to me the other day, but you Cloudinary has a Next.js image component as well, I believe.
Yeah, so we have the Next.js SDK that I built, and depending on which type of Next.js application that you build, will
Okay.
determine what you can use for OG images. Um,
Okay.
because so originally for the Pages router, I call it the CLD OG image component, which you can
Okay.
just kind of drop in the page and it'll automatically take care of it for you. But it was utilizing the head component, if you're familiar. Uh,
Hmm.
and since that was deprecated, I could no longer use that. So
Oh,
now
okay, okay,
it's just a function that you can mostly do the same thing, but now you have to tie it into the metadata configuration. So it's
okay. Yeah, yeah.
still easy. It's
Gotcha.
just the different conventions of Next.js itself.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, let's. I'm just gonna close Affinity for now, and let's create a new project. Uh, I'll be completely transparent. Even though I worked at Netlify supporting Next.js, I haven't really built anything with AppRouter, but we can totally do
Okay,
AppRouter. Like I understand how it works. It's just I haven't really built anything in it. But let's
fair enough.
uh, just because I think it'd be good to showcase how you have to use the new meta as well, like you were mentioning.
Mhm.
Um, Unless you think otherwise. But
No, that sounds good to me.
okay, let's go to streams. So I had a bit of a busy day already, so I was in the middle of work before we went live here. But okay, so let's npx create, not expo. It's just
Okay.
npx create next app, I believe,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We'll call it OG or CLD OG. Cloudinary OG. Let's do that. Okay, yes, TypeScript. Yeah, sure. We'll just grab all the defaults.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're pretty safe defaults.
yeah. Okay, we'll let this install. My internet's pretty fast, so it should be pretty quick. Um, okay, and let's just go into that. That was Cloudinary. Okay, and okay, so we've got the here. I'll just move this up here. Okay, so we've got our standard app router Next.js app here, so we can just make sure everything's running in our
Yeah. Took me
dev.
a second with your sidebar on the right side.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm right side gang there.
Nice.
I the reason well, I do things like that to just make my brain, rewire a bit, but it's
Okay.
also when I'm coding, it's actually kind of distracting when you close and show it on the left because
Mm,
that's where you're coding. So it's
I can see
that's
that.
what throws me off, unless I have it over here, obviously. But
Mm,
I'm typically going this way. But okay, so we've got the app. Just want to make sure everything's running. Okay, so we're good there. Okay, so
cool.
and I'm also gonna just drop the Cloudinary org on GitHub for folks that want to check out any of the open source work there. And okay, so I guess what's the next steps here? We need to install the Cloudinary uh,
SDK.
SDK.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can go to next.cloudinary.dev.
Okay.
And this is we are actually considering it a community library. So it's a
Okay.
different team. My team or me maintain this as opposed to like the standard product team that manages the other SDKs.
Okay.
But so we have this, we have Svelte, and we have Nuxt, and we have another one coming soon, which I'm excited about,
Yeah.
Astro. But so with this one, it's mostly, it's supposed to be through Next.js conventions, makes you feel like you're building right inside of Next.js application with the tools.
Okay.
But yeah, the first thing we can do is install the package whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Sure.
We can go to
Cool.
installation page.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Oh
That
yeah,
would
yeah.
help. Yeah. Yeah. Follow the docs. That would make sense. Cool. I'll just bump this for people. Okay. So we're just gonna go ahead and install next Cloudinary here. Okay. And then I'll just
Yeah,
copy
and
this.
because we're only doing in this example, because we're only doing image generation, all we need is the cloud name. But I also
Okay.
support an upload component. So
Okay.
if you're using that, you can also supply your API key and secret, and then you can drop in our upload widget wherever you want, which makes it really easy for things like user generated content. You want people to upload
Okay.
their photos and such.
Cool. Cool. I always forget with environment variables because like when I worked at Dev 2, I don't think they were in quotes. Maybe that's a Ruby thing, but like
Oh.
JS land, it's always in quotes, I believe.
Yeah, I know different people do different things. I don't think you need
Yeah,
quotes, but I've just always liked doing it by default because for the cases where you need it, then it's just like
yeah.
it's already there.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, and like you were saying here, if you're using the uploading features, then you would need the API secret, but we don't need that right
Yeah,
now. Okay.
exactly. So the next thing we can do is if you want to head over first, I guess I can just show you the CLD OG image component, even though we're not going to use that one.
Yeah.
If you click on the left hand side, the CLD OG image.
Okay. Yeah.
So originally, what this was just a component where if you pass in the source, I handle all the configuration and I dump everything inside of the head tag so that you don't have to do anything else other than supply the image, and we give you an open graph tag. The API is still basically the same in terms of what you
Okay.
need to provide, but now you just need to handle the metadata configuration by yourself. So if you scroll
Okay.
down, it's going to be under the helpers section,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then get CLD image or CLD OG image URL.
Okay. Yeah.
But as you can see, like the configuration from from the Cloudinary perspective is the same. You at a basic level just need to provide the source. I handle the rest of the configuration, the defaults for the
Okay.
URL. But I think on this page, if you scroll down, it should give the metadata configuration.
Okay.
Yeah, there
Is
we go.
that in the snippet? Okay. Yeah.
So that
Oh
one
yeah.
right
Okay.
there,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that will give you like a basic static metadata, and we'll probably want to go do a dynamically generated one. But just to get
Yeah.
started, we could probably start off with this since it's easy to just copy and paste.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this belongs in what file or?
So that'll be for the page that you want to export it
Okay.
on. So since we're just working on the homepage, I would assume like you just dump it
Yeah.
at the top or bottom of that, depending on where you want to manage it.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that. Console. Yeah, the meta. Yeah, we can keep it up here. I guess I don't know. I flip flop between these things. This is more like stylistic, but like because it's a page, it's kind of nice to have it there. But
Yeah,
I'll keep it up here for the moment, just so it's easier to see.
I
And
feel
let's
you.
just zoom this in a bit. There.
Remind me,
Okay.
did you set up your cloud name? I couldn't remember for your
Yeah.
environment for the okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So I should just grab this
Oh,
process.env.
so you don't even need to pass it in there.
Oh, okay.
We'll automatically pick it up. So here, the source is going to be your public ID. So if you're not familiar, like whenever you upload an image to Cloudinary, you're given a specific ID for that image, and that's
Okay.
what we're going to plug in there.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. So let's go get one. Uh, I just need to log into Cloudinary. Ba-ba-da-ba. Okay, log in with GitHub. Oh, I'll log in the way that one password's telling me to. Cool. All right, there we go. Continue. Okay. Of course, that API key is one I should not be showing, I'm guessing, right?
So the API key is probably okay. It's a little small, so I can't totally see it. But if
Oh,
it's
oh
just the
yeah, it's
API
the
key,
API secret. Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so the API key is gonna be public anyways, so
Okay, yeah,
that one's not as big of an issue. Generally speaking, it's still try to not overly expose it, but, that'll be
yeah.
shown in the DOM anyways if you're using it, so,
Okay, I
um,
gotcha. Okay, in that case, I'm not really stressed.
yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the Media Explorer, I guess.
Yeah, I personally prefer the media library, but if you prefer the
Okay.
Explorer, personal preference at that point. I just like the UI a little bit better on the media library.
Okay,
Um,
so you can see I've obviously pushed up some that are the actual ones I made. But I guess we can take one for now here.
yeah,
Here we'll go with Salma, my old
sounds
coworker.
good.
So okay, so can I just get the public ID on its own here, or should I just
So
copy the URL?
I don't know if there's actually a copy button right there, but at the top right, I believe you should be able to grab the ID,
Okay.
um, or like right below that. So there's like a summary tab right on the side, and it should show you that ID right above it on the
Yeah.
right.
Why?
Or
Oh,
we can
the
just,
right. Oh
or
yeah,
we can
yeah.
just
Sorry,
double,
sorry.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
or we
yeah.
can just double click into the image, and you'll be able to see it on the top left. Either way.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't see it on the right for some reason, but yeah. Okay, let's just go in. Okay, so summary, I guess, or
So
no?
at the top left, you can see it, and I can't tell. Is that under a folder? It looks like it is, right? So what
Yeah, it
we'll
is.
need. So what we'll need is the folder slash the public ID.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. So we'll do that. Let me just put in the public ID first. Yeah, I unfortunately can't zoom in the other part there, but
All
maybe
good.
I can. Okay, so 2024 guests. Okay. And like you said, the rest of the URL that's already handled, right?
Exactly. So all you need to do is pass in your that public ID. Yep. And I would imagine, most of the time this ID is probably going to come in programmatically anyway. So usually you probably don't have
Yeah.
to, grab all those different IDs.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. So let me just go back to the page, I guess. So let's go to localhost 3000. Oh, would help if I started it again. Okay. All right. So it's there. Okay. I'm gonna open up a tool I like using, Polypane. It actually
Nice.
shows the OG images. Just it's a lot easier.
Nice. I haven't
Um,
played around with that one. I
yeah,
played around
it's
with
pretty
Sizzy a
simple.
little bit, but I didn't end up forking up the money for it.
Yeah, I used Sizzy for a while, and then I don't know, I I just stopped using it for some reason. Okay, so it's gonna load up here. Okay, so it looks like maybe it didn't generate it yet. Let's check. Uh, let's go to the browser. Actually, I'll just view the. It'll pop it in the head with the metadata, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me zoom this in just so you can see as
Cool,
well.
cool.
And
Yeah, so if you see the OG image there.
yeah, OG. Okay, yeah, image.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no URL. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay,
So if
so
we open it up in a new tab.
yeah. Okay,
Okay,
so it
so
can't be found.
that's what is that error?
Just a 404. So I have a
404, okay.
feeling then that's clearly something I did wrong. So it's the folder 2024 dash guests, and then the public ID. Let me come back to where's the media explorer. Okay, so oh no, yeah, it's 100% me. I thought that was a sub from
Ah, okay,
Nikkatee
yeah.
dot live. Was it dash? Yeah, okay. Yeah. One oh, okay, it's two folders, sorry then. So Nikkatee dot live dash guest. Yeah. Yes, of course it's me. 2024 guests. Okay,
Todd said
now we should be good.
he's right side gang too.
Okay, let's go gang. All right. Did this. Okay, there we go.
Yay, there we go. Perfect.
Okay, so just to be clear, it was the person in front of the keyboard that was doing things wrong. Um, but this is pretty cool. This is like pretty quick to get up. And like you said, like obviously we hard coded the public ID here, but if we were serving pages, whether it's like an e-commerce site or like even when I do this for my live streaming schedule and stuff, I would be pulling in these IDs. Like there would be some association that I know it's for guest X
Hmm.
or whatever.
Exactly.
So okay, but yeah, so that was pretty quick to get up and running here,
And
and
the cool
it
thing is,
handled all
like,
the.
if you passed in an image that wasn't at those dimensions, it'll automatically handle cropping it to those dimensions as well. So, say you have
Okay,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
a beautiful picture of the beach that you wanted to show, and you wanted to dump that in, but it's not the right size. All you have to do is dump in the ID still, and it's going to automatically crop it, so that you don't have to worry about that. Just to make it as
Okay,
easy as possible.
cool. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I think I have like maybe there's some of the stock photos in there, but these are all guests. How do I go to my main?
Yeah, there should be a samples, or there's a couple top level samples.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna take my. This is for my new newsletter. I'll use that one. Okay, so
Nice.
let's. Okay, so this one is right at the root. So let's just copy that.
So I'm curious how
And
this will look. This might be overly cropped.
yeah, like does it center it or what does it do then?
So it'll center it, but because of the I'm guessing that because of the size, since it looks like it's cropped right to the image, that it's probably gonna crop the image itself.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, like, there is a feature you could set a different crop mode. I think it might be pad. That way it'll put white space on the sides rather than, crop it in, but by default it's
Okay.
going to it uses fill, like a crop mode of fill. So it's
Okay.
basically, making the trying to think of how to word it. It's like pushing the content out so that it's gonna, keep the size of the image the biggest that it can to one of the
Yeah,
axes.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. And anyways, this is like just the default. Like we haven't configured anything, so like you
yeah,
said, it's totally possible to just make this look better.
for sure.
Um, okay, so yeah, I guess like yeah, first impressions, like that was like super easy to do. Like the instructions in the docs were very clear on what to do. I obviously fumbled by using my wrong subfolder, but like aside from that, it was like pretty much easy peasy. And like this is for Next.js, obviously, but like you said, there's Astro coming, and what were the
Mhm.
other frameworks you mentioned? Or
Nuxt and
oh yeah,
Svelte. Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah, cool. So I imagine it's something similar, like
Yeah, the goal between all the libraries is to have like a certain level of parity. So, of course,
yeah,
like, all the different frameworks have some different syntax or like, conventions that we try to adhere to so that you're, getting the experience that you would expect out of that framework. But
okay,
the Cloudinary API side, we're trying to keep it all the same so that you can, jump between the two and have a similar experience.
okay, yeah, gotcha, cool. Awesome. So okay, so like we're doing this with we don't need to see my Spotify. Um, we're doing this with just like static images that have been uploaded so far. But so getting back to like the original use case, so like ideally I'd like to upload a template and then like I don't know, what I'll do is just for the purposes of today is like if you're cool with it, I'll just drag your headshot in there too, and then we can get those
Hmm.
IDs and then kind of do the whole thing and see how things work there. So
Yeah,
I'll just create a new folder, I think. Let's do Colby stream. Cool. Okay, let's go browse. Oh, just disappeared. Colby stream. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna open up Affinity again, and I'm just gonna save that image as a PNG, and then
perfect.
I'll pop it up there. And I'm I'm excited to do this because this is something I've wanted to do on my live stream, like for like I said, for automating things for quite a while. I just been uh, a little busy, so this is my way to hang out with you, but also get something done that I actually need. So, cool, cool. Let's see here. Let's export. Cool. Okay, so there's some stuff like I'm not I'm not gonna worry about it today, but like once I have this actual template, I'll have like a hole and it's transparent. But like for now, like we can just move your headshot on top, maybe in I think you can do like border radius and stuff too. Yeah, okay, so it might end up working out fine even without me making the hole in there. Okay, so let's just save this, downloads, and
I just realized I was mute. So also, I don't know if you wanted to consider, you have the placeholder title and the text. I don't know if you
oh
wanted to
yeah, yeah,
disable those too.
yeah, yeah. Let's remove that. Um, Cool. Let's do that again. Yeah,
And
because
the cool thing
I'm.
is, if you're using Photoshop, I don't know if we have an Affinity, if it supports Affinity, but if you're using Photoshop, you can upload a PSD, and I know you can actually like work with the layers in Cloudinary.
Oh,
But I
cool.
haven't ever played around with that. But I know that that's something a lot of like bigger organizations do because if they're working out of the Photoshop files, it just makes that much easier to automate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I would say like this is just more like feature request, not because I'm using Affinity, but I know a lot of people use Affinity now.
Yeah,
Um,
for
it
sure.
would probably be a nice value add to the product.
Agreed. Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right, so let's go get your headshot now. Boop. All right, there we go. There we go. There's Colby. Okay. Okay, cool. And let's drag Colby up here. Now, I did have a question about like just in general in terms of the public IDs. It I imagine it's typically just good to go with the auto generated one because like it. Oh, you're on mute. Uh,
I keep doing that. So, um, yeah. So
okay.
I'd say it really depends on what you're doing. So I'll give you like two examples. Like if you're just doing up user generated content, like the IDs probably don't matter. But
Yeah.
if you're uploading like Nick logo cool image that you want to
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
host statically, then you would want to have that single asset always be available. Then that would make sense. But
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I think the if you want things like searchability, usually you're better off with things like tags and metadata. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. That's stuff we're not really touching on today, but all that's available in terms of searching through the product. So
yeah, for sure.
over
And
here.
like you
Okay.
also have like you can use the auto tagging add-on. So like if you are doing user generated content and say someone uploads that picture of the mountain, like it'll automatically
Okay.
add a tag of mountain so that you can search that later.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. So that's nice. That's AI kicking in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Just add those for now for fun. Oops. Save. Cool. All right. So I guess let's just do a quick test here. So I'm gonna just copy the ID, and we'll just come back to where we were here, and that Colby string.
Perfect.
Okay, and let's just make sure we're all good here. Might take a second. Okay.
There we go.
So
Nice.
okay, so it's good. So we got that. So that's perfect.
Yep.
And I'm gonna assume that your headshot's there as well. Okay. So yeah, I guess where do we go from here now? I guess in terms of the
Mhm.
dynamicism.
Yeah. So probably the easiest way is if we head back to the documentation, we
Okay.
can start off with like one of the example snippets of. So what we're going to do is we're going to add something called overlays, which is if you're thinking about Affinity or Photoshop or whatever, we're now just going to
Yeah.
start playing with layers on the image. So we're going to add a
Okay.
new layer, and that new layer is going to be that headshot. So
Okay.
probably the easiest way if we scroll down here under guides, there should be a guide if you click that for
Okay.
image overlays, and we can see there's also a text overlays, but we can start with image overlays.
Okay.
We're here.
Okay.
If you scroll down in the content, then um, we'll probably want to use the get CLD image URL option.
Okay.
It should be the same because it's ultimately just an array. I'm sorry, if you scroll up, there was a second tab.
Oh, sorry.
Um, Oh, good. Yeah, there's a right tab right there.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's just an array that you're going to pass in. The component and the function API is exactly the same because it uses this under the hood.
Okay.
But so what we'll want to do is we'll want to just copy this entire the overlays property.
Okay. Just overlays. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So array, like you said. And a quick question about this. The order that they appear in the array, is that their like visibility in the
Yeah.
okay.
So that is going to determine like the where in that order that it's getting stacked for sure.
Okay. Oh, okay. So this is nice. I was gonna say like what do we need to do next, but it's already in there
Mhm.
overlays. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay,
Uh,
let's put a
the
comma
comma.
here.
And
Okay.
then you'll want to update that public ID to that headshot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So just to be clear of my understanding here, the original source will always act as just the background, and then the overlays just go on top of that.
Exactly. It's your base layer and then overlays. And you also have
Okay.
underlays, but that is more relevant when you have a transparent image. So,
Okay.
I mean, that could happen if you remove the background, for instance, or if you already have a transparent image and you wanted to put
Okay.
something underneath.
Okay. Cool. Let me just grab this. Yeah, this is really nice. Like that there's super clear examples where you can just pull this out and just get to business.
Yeah, glad it's
Okay.
helpful. And remember that folder name there too.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good call.
But yeah, if
So
anybody
one.
ever has, feature requests or suggestions on the docs or anything, just try to make it as helpful as possible.
Okay. Cool, cool. Okay, so like I'm just gonna go with where the position is right now,
Hmm.
just so we can just do a first pass just to see where we're at. So let me open up Polypane again. I'm always paranoid of having too many Electron apps open during a live stream. So okay, so
Yay!
this is awesome. Okay,
There we
so we're
go.
back together again in the image. Okay, so this is perfect.
Yeah,
So okay, so let's. I'm gonna leave this over here so that it should refresh with hot reloading, I believe, or with
perfect.
fast refresh and React. So like if I do, for example, like 100.
Yeah, and
Whoops.
one thing I'd honestly do is because we're closer to that top right corner, it'd probably be
Yeah.
easiest to update that to northeast. So that
Okay.
gravity property, you can think of gravity as basically like the anchor point of where you want the positioning to start at. So it uses compass directions. So northeast is going to be the top right corner, and then we can use the X
Okay.
and Y to push it off of from there.
Okay. Gotcha. So let's save this and didn't refresh this time. Let's see here. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's getting closer. And so I guess this is one question I have is uh, I already see this is going to be easier for like the OG images I've been doing at work. We could talk about like the difficulties I've had with those. Not using Cloudinary is something else, um, but for here, I guess one question I have is this just basically I'll just keep tweaking the dimensions, or is there like a visual editor where you could do this? Uh, I could. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if it exists or not, but
I don't know if there's one for, like, this exact use case. Like, I was trying to
okay,
create something a while ago. Let me see if I can find it, Transform Designer. I was literally just showing somebody the other day. Yeah.
okay.
Is there somewhere I can share it with you? A chat?
Yeah, yeah. In the you can either drop it here. I'll
Oh, I'll
pop a
share it in
little
Twitch, I
into.
guess. Yeah, that would work, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. You can also drop
Um,
stuff there if you need to.
you're
Cool. Yeah.
starting to bug me posting stuff. It says deleted by a moderator. Am I able to
Man, Nightbot, what are you doing? I've got to turn that off. It's I saw somebody using Nightbot for moderation on Twitch, and I was like, yeah, I see a lot of people using that. I'll try it, and it was like very aggressive. And then I tweaked some things. Like I was like, okay, let it use GitHub and like something else, and then. I think I'm just gonna go back to what I have, or I'm just gonna spend a bit of time seeing like how I can make that better. But
sounds good.
okay, cool. So, whoops.
So I sent the link in Ninja.
Yeah, yeah. Why did it? Okay, copy link address. There we go. Okay, so you do have something like this. Okay, so we can. Okay.
I don't know why, but I keep going like it keeps muting me for some reason. I didn't do it that time. But part of the issue is because we're dealing with a static image, like every single time you click that number to go up, for instance, like it's going to generate a new image URL. That's probably not what you
Yeah,
want to do. Now, what we could probably have is some kind of UI where it'll give you the position, and then once you have that position via the client side JavaScript, you can then use that positioning to determine how you add it to the image.
yeah.
I don't know if one exists that like you're going to easily just be able to plop in this kind of example and use.
Yeah,
But that's a really good idea, and that's a good way to get people like playing around with it.
yeah.
I know our Svelte maintainer created like a little sandbox for the Svelte project, which looks really
Okay,
cool. That does similar stuff, not specific for overlays, but like just a UI to be able to play with the image, which looks really cool.
okay,
So I'm excited to share that later too.
okay. Awesome. And this also actually is a testament to like leveraging the URL. Like we're doing it in the SDK right now, but like
Hmm.
I know like I'm not on my live streaming schedule site, but on my blog site, I'm not using the SDK. I did this like a long time ago. So I basically hack the URL. Well, not hack the URL. I just construct the URL, which
Hmm.
is obviously more tedious. You also have to deal with like encoding it and stuff. So like the SDK basically masks all that away for you, and you can just do what we were doing here, like overlays with an array, and then it just regenerates a URL that represents that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the same thing, like if you think about it, applies to videos. Like you can do a lot of the same stuff with videos and do like full video editing programmatically. But with that, especially, like you're not going to be wanting to generate a new video every single time you do a little parameter, right? So,
Yeah,
it is a good idea to have some kind of designer, client side designer, so that you can work through that.
yeah. It could be interesting. Like obviously, like you were saying, it's regenerating a new image all the time right now. But I think if you had this is just like, I don't know, maybe this is something I'll dig into some free time. But like, you have the public ID, so like, this is the base, like the background, and like, okay, I'm pulling in this overlay now. And if you represent them as just separate DOM elements while you're
Mm,
manipulating them, so then
yeah,
you like, then you don't get that refresh. But then when you're like, okay, this looks good, save or whatever, or even if
yeah,
it's just like read only, but you're just like tweaking it. So I
yeah.
don't
That's
know.
a cool idea.
I think I might go down that rabbit hole.
That'd be cool to have like a debug mode in the package to be able to do that, right? Like something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. But regardless, this is pretty cool anyways, because like, yes, you get the refresh, but you can still do like what we're about to do in the
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's super
Then
cool.
once you set
I'll
it once, like set it and forget it. So
yeah. I'm gonna see if my own moderation bot blocks me from posting that on Twitch. I'm having a feel. Okay, it didn't. Okay, cool.
and
All right.
just to like caveat, so the configuration there was something a little tool that I was trying to create like a couple years ago. So it's not really relevant to anything. So
Okay.
take with a grain of salt that config that it generates. Like the URL is a valid URL, but the config below is what I'm referring to.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So let's get back to here, and so I guess let's see here. Let's maybe try. Let's go over to 200 maybe, and then yeah, let's go 200, 200 maybe. And
So I think you'd be wanting to lower the numbers, right? Because if you remember, we're starting from the
oh yeah,
north.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, good call. Yeah, sorry. Uh, and that's why I'm no longer in Boy Scouts. Okay. All right. So
There we go,
it's
getting
getting
closer.
closer. Okay. So maybe like 75 or maybe even 50. Yeah. I've just got my brain thinking about building that tool now. Like you could drag and drop. You could,
I'd
anyways.
love to see it.
Uh, yeah. All right. Okay. I think I just got nerd sniped. All right. Okay. So this is like almost there. So let's just do 25, 25.
Yeah, and if you're thinking about from like a like if you're building this in Affinity, for instance, what you could have done is if you knew the dimensions of the original image, you may
Yeah.
have been able to use those pixel values to
Oh,
determine
okay.
how far it needed to go. So like if you already have that existing art, and I know Figma is good at that too, right? Like I think in dev mode you can see what those pixel values are. So you could have
Yeah.
used that, right?
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's just do 2020, and then okay. Um, it takes a second to refresh it. I think it's just polypane. Let's just do that again. Okay, so okay, that's not too bad. I'll do one more. I'll do 15, and then we'll say that's pretty good for the position. Um, so so already this is like, I'm already happy because this is definitely something I need. So we were talking about, like, obviously the image is square right now. If we wanted to make it round, so like for the CSS folks, if we just did border radius like 999 or like 50%. How do we go about doing that in Cloudinary? Is it as easy as saying border radius, or you're on mute again? It's gonna
I'm
be
telling
my
you, I'm
attack.
not even what I think it's doing? I think when I go to a different tab or yeah, if whenever I go to a different tab or window, it automatically mutes me. Interesting.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was looking at the documentation. I guess I don't have the radius for some reason in there, but what we can do is we can add what's called a raw transformation. Are you seeing it by chance?
Uh,
So I don't know if
okay.
that'll
No, that's just Copilot
try
saying it.
try it
So.
under effects. See if radius comes up under effect. I'm sorry, the underneath that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's its own
Yeah.
thing. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Okay, sorry. Boom. Radius.
No? Okay.
No.
So what we can do is we can add it as what's called a raw transformation. So essentially, I have a backup where if something's not supported because it's just not implemented yet, you can add your own transformation. Though I don't
Okay.
know if that's going to work on the effects array because you want to add that to that overlay, not to the base image. So
Okay.
I might need to implement this for you to finish it later, but we might be able to get as far as the rounded image.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all good. That's all good. Okay, cool. Um, yeah. Uh, okay, so we don't have to worry about that right now. So if we wanted to go ahead and put in some title text now here.
yep, yep. So if we go back to the documentation, we can grab another example that we can start off with. And
Okay.
while you're over there, I do want to show a quick page. Um,
So, yeah. Okay.
so if we on the left hand side, if you scroll down to templates. So what I
Yeah.
did is I created a page for social media cards, and I'm hoping to do this for other things too. But the
Okay.
idea with this is that, I gave a couple uh existing templates that you can literally just copy and paste into your app and then be able to
Okay.
replace those variables with the dynamically generated content. So like for
Oh,
instance, if
cool.
you'd liked one of those for your OG cards, you didn't have to do
Yeah.
anything other than replace those variables with your dynamic content and your set.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Gotcha.
but for
Okay.
our
So like
purposes, like,
headline.
we
Yeah.
can go back under guides and then text overlays, and then
Okay.
we'll see that it's still under the overlays array.
Yeah.
It'll just be slightly different for the object that we place on top of it.
Okay.
So we have that same position, but this time we're gonna provide a text property instead of a public ID.
Okay. And in terms of sorry, you were saying the position is related to that too?
Yeah, so all I'm saying is like, so it's the same. So both
Oh, okay.
are
Okay. Gotcha.
overlays, an image overlay or a text overlay. They're basically the
Okay.
same thing, only like one is a public ID and one is going to be the text property.
Okay. Okay.
So what we're
Gotcha.
going to do is we're going to add a new object in that array, a second object in the array
Yeah.
of overlays. Um, so
Okay.
to be clear, in
Whoops.
the overlays property,
Overlays.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Sorry. Boom. 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 Here. Okay. All right.
yeah,
Cool. Okay. So we got our position southeast. Okay. Just say I forget what color I had, but we'll just put black for now. It's like I have like a it's like a dark brown, I think. But
yeah.
um, Uh, quick question here about font family. Um, like obviously system fonts are probably supported, but what font families do people have access to? Or like say I have a bespoke one, not bespoke,
hmm
but like I don't know, I bought a font. I don't know, is that
yeah.
something you can use too, or
Totally. So we support a lot of Google fonts out of the box, but not all Google fonts. And I've
okay,
been begging to get a publicly listed list of those supported fonts, but we don't have one available right now. So
okay,
Source Sans Pro is one of them that we support. I don't have that full list. I know somebody put together a list that they automated to figure out what those are, and I want to republish that
okay,
so that that's easily accessible. But for
yeah,
now, you kind of just got to try it and see if your Google font will work. Now,
okay,
that said, to your point, you can upload whatever font you want and then use that as part of it. Jason Langsdorff actually has a good guide, and we're going to be coming out with a video to help
okay,
walk through that. But what you essentially want to do is you want to upload. It's called an authenticated file. So basically, like
okay,
you're securely uploading it through the system, either as a script or through the UI, and then you just reference that font file
okay.
when you're trying to add it.
Okay, cool. No, that's awesome. So like basically this is super extensible,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is nice.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm just gonna change the title to oh whoops. Uh, I'll just put it to what it was. I think it was Open Graph OG images with Cloudinary and okay, there we go. Okay, and let's come back here to Polypane. Give it a second. Okay, so we're gonna get some text here in a second, I believe. Is it white? No,
Do we see it anywhere?
I don't see it yet. Here, let's go back. Oh, maybe it's off screen or something. Oh wait, position 160, 120.
So that should
Oh,
have pushed it up. I don't know why it wouldn't have.
Let me make sure that it compiled. Yeah, okay, it did
Yeah, I
compile.
wonder if
Okay.
it's too big, maybe. Maybe
Okay.
try
Oh, the
lowering
font
the font
size.
size.
Yeah, let's go like, I don't know, 48 to begin. Cool. And it's definitely black. Okay. Font weight black. Okay, let's try this again. There we
There we
go.
go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so it's on an angle, which I didn't check that there, but okay, so we can get rid of the angle. Also, that's cool. You can do it on an angle. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. So you don't even need that property there. That's optional, but
oh, okay,
unless you
okay,
want it,
gotcha.
Now, one thing again is I recommend changing the gravity to west, and as far or west or northwest, depending on where you want to position it from.
Okay,
But the nice thing about gravity is it can definitely be a little bit confusing to kind of wrap your head around. But the thing that's nice about it is being able to strategically position things from different corners allows you
okay,
to work a lot easier with dynamic content depending on how you want that content to sit within the image.
okay. Um, I've got some hopefully constructive DX feedback here because
Would
we're
love it.
using. I'm in TypeScript here by default. You could for like the gravity instead of it just because like right now I can put whatever.
It's not
You could
enummed.
do well. You could do like a union type of basically all the types that are allowed.
Okay.
Just more as like a and it's a pretty easy thing to do and if it's open source, I'm totally happy to throw a
Yeah, man.
PR
I'll
out
I'll
there for
point
that.
you to where to do that. That'd be amazing.
Cool.
Otherwise, I'll
And
handle it. But yeah.
yeah, yeah, and like I guess basically whichever ones like make sense to have stuff like that. But this one just stood out. Like I don't know if you would want to do it for the font families because like somebody could have a custom one and like it could get I don't know. But okay, cool. So we let me refresh this here so it shouldn't be angled anymore. Okay, there we go. Okay, so uh the
Man, it automatically
position.
muted me again. I'm sorry. I was saying things and
He's like, I'm saying something really deep right now, and
right,
it's
right.
like,
Well, I keep trying to take notes and like check out documentation on the side here, and it keeps muting me.
yeah. And the other cool thing about a lot of this stuff is like, obviously, probably like there's a big chunk of Cloudinary that's closed source because it's like IP and stuff,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of stuff that's open source, including like the next image and like the all. I don't know if it's the whole SDK, but there's a lot of it that's open source, right?
Totally, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this SDK is completely open source. This currently wraps one of the Cloudinary URL generator SDKs. I'm hoping in the future to remove that dependency just simply for like bundle size and all that stuff, complexity.
Okay.
But yeah, all that's open source as well. So yeah, it's really just the underlying product that isn't open source and everything that's
Yeah.
happening. So like the URL is the API. So everything
Hmm.
that's happening in these SDKs is basically constructing a URL for you. Like you
Yeah.
said earlier, you can construct that URL manually if you'd like to. I know I mentioned Jason before. Jason still does it completely manually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, after all these years, I've been trying to get him on an SDK, but it's if that's what you want to do for sure. But finding an SDK, and that's why I'm trying to really push the DX forward on this SDK, is because I want to make it as easy as possible, and you shouldn't have to manually construct those URLs.
Yeah, and it's yeah, because the thing is URLs can get hairy. Like it's one thing if you're
Mhm.
just like saying like I don't know, font size equals 48 in the query string, but as soon as you have like special characters and stuff, like you need to encode it, and there's APIs to
Mhm.
do that, but it's like the SDK just handles that all for you. So
Yeah.
like, which is which is a nice value add. I
Yeah.
I definitely need to my blog is I mean I still blog a lot, but my blog is on 11D right now, and I
Mm.
basically hard coded the URL with just basically the title, and I'm doing exactly what I just said before that the SDK handles. So I should probably just replace it. It's kind of one of more of those things that like I built it a while ago and I just haven't touched it, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
definitely for my live streaming site nikit.live, I'm 100% going to use the SDK though, because like just so much easier.
yeah,
And um, I did have a question here as well. Like, so like you said, you're working on support for Astro right now,
yeah.
but again, like obviously it's just a URL, but if there's no Astro component right now, I could still use the SDK to generate the URL, right? And then just plug it in, or
So,
can,
because of the dependencies, I don't know what the effects of that would be if you try to use this. Now,
okay,
the underlying tool here, I'll get I was already I didn't even switch and I was automatically muted. That was so weird. So I'm gonna, pass in a URL to you of the underlying tool because the
okay,
everything here is basically a wrapper under this shared function that I created. So all the different frameworks use that. So ultimately, we're just
yeah.
passing the props API to that. So I'm gonna pass you that link. I'm gonna get muted, but in the meantime, you know.
All right. Uh, yeah. So I'm finding it a little hilarious that you're getting muted by yourself all day long.
Yep.
Uh,
And I lost the chat
okay.
again. Where's the chat? I keep losing that.
Okay. Cool. 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 Uh,
Oh, there's the chat.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. You dropped it in which chat?
Uh, the um the ninja chat. Let me see if I can
Oh,
put
okay.
it
Okay.
into Twitch.
Yeah. No. No. I can grab it there. I have a feeling. Oh, GitHub. It'll accept it. I
Oh, cool.
added that.
So
I whitelisted
perfect.
that. So okay.
Nice.
Cool. Let me just go ahead and copy that, and I'll just bring it on screen for a sec for people. And I'll also I'll go drop it over on YouTube as well for folks.
Yeah. So what I'm ultimately trying to do with this package is create like a set of functions that just makes it easier for all the different frameworks to do everything, so that we can maintain a lot of that copy and paste logic in the same places. You know, of course,
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit of an overhead for people to contribute if they're new to the project. But from a maintenance perspective, it just makes it a lot easier for things
Oh
that
yeah,
need to
100.
be the same. But so like you can see this construct cloudinary URL function, it's the same thing as get CLD image URL, only we construct the config for you automatically. Because we're
Okay.
in the framework, I can already get that environment variable and plug it in. So all we
Okay. Okay.
need there is the options object as the top level object. So
Okay.
for instance,
Cool.
if you wanted to use this in 11D or whatever, you can certainly just use this function as is.
Okay. And the nice thing about this too is like you said, you're working on an Astra one right now. There's a Svelte one, there's a Nuxt one, and there's a Next.js one. But if somebody in the solid JS community is like, we need a Cloudinary image component, they can 100% do that in the community, or hopefully contribute it back to this project maybe. But
Exactly.
they can do that just because they have this main dependency that they all use,
Totally.
which is
And if
cool.
somebody's interested in doing that, please reach out and let me know. I'd be happy to try to support you as much as I can. But generally speaking, yeah, that's exactly the case.
Cool, cool. Oh, hey, Fuzzy, thanks for joining us. Always good to see Fuzzy. Fuzzy's over at the Linux Foundation now, but he used to be
Oh,
on the
cool.
Astro Core team. And
Nice.
he says, no way, it's Colby.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Awesome. Okay, so okay, no, but that's great that you kind of explain like how all those things work under the hood, because I think that's important for people to know. But
Yeah.
it's definitely handy having like a drop-in component for sure, or like in our case, what we're doing, we're building the CLD image here in the metadata.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me come back here. So uh, again, I'm not gonna tweak this too much, but I did have a question about the. I think I drank too much coffee today, or I'm drinking tea now, so I'm a little wired. Sorry. Uh, uh,
Heaven knows you're good.
so for the text here, so I can't really zoom this in, but let me. Can I copy the URL? Okay. Well, anyways, the text here, for example, it goes over your head shot a bit. Um, if if this was in in markup, with CSS, or like we could either have it, like it's a paragraph and it's this wide and then it wraps. Is there a way to wrap text, or
Yep.
is it more? Okay, cool.
Yep. So what we're going to do is on the top level object, you can set a width. And what you're
Okay,
basically doing is, sorry, the top level object of that particular overlay of the top,
okay,
text overlay.
yeah,
So right
okay,
above the position there. Yeah.
okay,
So the way to think about it is the object that you're creating in the array of overlays is that container. And now you're setting the container width within that image,
okay,
and the text is going to fit inside of that. Now, if you do that by default, let's see what happens when you just do
okay,
it as is.
okay. So this mode. Okay, there we go. Just give it a second. Okay.
Yeah, so by default, I believe what's gonna happen is it's actually gonna shrink it. So,
Oh,
like,
okay.
if you want your text to grow or shrink depending on the size, which could be helpful if you're doing, uh, I don't know, there's certain things that you're doing where you want the the size of it to be dynamic, that would be helpful. But the other thing that you could do, is you can add a crop mode to the
Okay.
to that object, and you're gonna add a crop of fit, I believe it is, and that'll actually, so it'll be right under the width. You can add a crop of fit, and then it
Okay.
should fit to that container.
Okay. Okay. Here you have the TypeScript you need to type here.
Yeah, I know some of them I have it. I think I was using enums, honestly, like, I'm still a TypeScript noob, and I'm doing what I can, but,
Oh no, yeah, no, it's not a knock. Just trying to improve things.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
No, 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 I appreciate it. It's
cool.
been a good learning experience for me.
That's awesome. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
so I clearly made this too small, but you already it's doing which is what I was hoping for, and it's actually nice too. I didn't realize it would put ellipsis as well, the three dots there.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Yeah, I didn't realize it would do that either. That's interesting. I wonder at what point it does the ellipsis. I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just go ahead and refresh this. Okay, so I clearly gotta just make it bigger. So let's just say like I don't know 500. Um, okay, so basically all the things I was hoping this could do, it actually does. So this is I'm very happy about this.
Here's a neat trick. Now, this SDK doesn't support it yet, but if you're using the straight up Cloudinary API or one of the like native SDKs, I guess if you want to call it, the official ones, you can actually do what's called nesting of your overlays. Where
Okay,
let's say, for instance, you have this text, and you can add. The way I like to think of it is like a child of that text, where what's going to
okay.
happen is you can set up the positioning of it to flow with that parent text. So say you
Oh,
have a
okay.
subtitle underneath, right? You can
Yeah.
set it up so that that'll push down for you as whatever that dynamic text shows. That way you don't have to
Oh,
manually
okay.
position it. But again, it doesn't currently support it here. I'm still trying to think. It's been a long too long for me to. I still need to implement it. But I'm still trying to think of the best way to express that in the SDK because I want to do it in a way that's going to make sense, and I just haven't really gotten there yet.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, no, no worries. Also, I just want to give you a shout out in the chat. Fuzzy's saying he basically learned a lot of web dev during the COVID days watching your YouTube channel. So
Oh, that's awesome. Appreciate that. I'm so glad to be
yeah,
helpful.
um, cool. Okay, so this is awesome. But like, um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so this is pretty much what I need to do. Obviously, I can put the guest text too, but it's
Mhm.
basically the same idea. And I forget what you were mentioning about the radius. You were saying in this particular function right now, it's not supported, but you can do
Yeah.
a raw transform. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, but the only issue is I think raw transforms are only supported on the base layer. So I'm gonna have
Oh,
to add
okay,
that.
yeah,
I'm gonna have to add that for you, but I can add that on my list to do this week because that's something that I need to add in there. And I could have sworn I added it, but I must not have.
yeah. Okay, I can double check.
You know.
You said it would be under effects, right?
So I that's where I would have guessed if it wasn't a top level. I wonder if it's a top level, but I didn't even see it in the documentation, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Let's see here. Radius, maybe? No, or
Just out of
border.
curiosity, try to see if it's available as a top level prop next to the base layer source.
Okay, yeah, let's go for it.
I'm just curious if it's there.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay. So, yeah,
okay,
there's still some inconsistencies like that that I need to address. Um, yeah, it's
okay,
yeah.
okay, but okay, so it is
Oh,
there,
that
but
only
you're
accepts the
transforming
string.
the.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to put. I'll try like,
I would have thought that you could have done a number as well. If not, that's an
yeah.
issue.
Um, we're live debugging as we go here, but but what you were saying, anyways, it shouldn't be a big lift. It's just surfacing it in the effects, and then from there it just updates the URL for that
Yeah.
particular layer. Um, okay, no,
Yeah,
this
man.
is like well, one. We moved on this pretty fast. I know you were like guiding me a bit here, but like the docs again, like super straightforward and Um, you know,
Glad to hear that.
pretty much like literally everything I I wanted to do to test this out. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and use this now. I think for
Awesome.
my headshots, like because like the flow I'm thinking of is like the way the way I invite guests right now is so like I have Calendly, then they fill it out, and then a Zapier zap pops it in. I'm using Airtable at the moment, but it pops the
Hmm.
information in there. And so like if they provide their headshot, it would be in there. And then I guess as I insert it in there, I think does does Cloudinary support? Oh no, I wouldn't need a webhook. It would be a webhook in Airtable. Sorry. Once it something gets dropped in there, I could just say post that headshot to my folder in Cloudinary, and then basically I'm off to the races then. And like
Yeah.
because I have all the info in Airtable, I could probably just say like whatever the ID of that particular headshot I just put in Cloudinary is, I save that in Airtable, and then basically come to like a scenario like this where like you were saying before, like we wouldn't typically be hard coding these things. I would be able to pull this out as I'm generating the things. And no, this is yeah, this is definitely solving a major pain point for me. So yeah, I'm really glad we got this far too with the demo of this. So
Yeah, for
um,
sure. And I'm trying to look up. I know James Quick did a video like a year or two ago where he was using Airtable. I believe it was Airtable or maybe Sanity and Airtable, but he was doing something similar where for
okay.
his podcast and his stream and everything, like he was trying to automate that stuff. So I'm gonna try to find that and I can try to share it here. But as usual, I'll go on mute.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome back to the mute show. I can't hear Colby. Cool, cool. Okay, so this is awesome for this stuff here, and like we've definitely got some time still. And we were talking before about like how I was how I'm currently building out these OG images in open source for. So like I'm gonna go ahead and just show off one of our cards, and then I'll show you basically how I've been building it. So basically we have our user profile pages. So I'll just drop this in the chat if folks want to see it.
That's super cool.
Uh, so yeah, so basically, actually, it'd probably make more sense if I actually just show the full card. So it should be, uh, yeah, let's just do that. Let me close this. And let's go to app.opensource.pizza, OG images slash dev card username equals Nikki T online. It should
Man,
look.
it'd be cool. It'd be cool if Next.js just out of the box created some kind of like OG preview as part of
Yeah,
the debug tool. I know they have
that
something
would
in
be, yeah.
Vercel now, but like out of the box, out of the framework, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's definitely a good idea. So this is basically what I built out. It
It's
looks
awesome.
I like the look of it. I can't take credit for that. That's our product designer, but I did implement
It's
it.
nice.
Um, and so basically we have a template. So there's this asset, and I'm just gonna go ahead and stop our project here, but I'll kind of show you basically how I built that out roughly because I don't want to go in too much into the weeds, but um, if we come here and because ideally I kind of want to do a spike on seeing if I can actually do this in Cloudinary, and like there's some questions I have about it, but like let's see here. Oh yeah, so basically there's this background, which why is it not showing up right now? Okay. So there's basically this, and then I fill in the dynamic information. I asked my product designer to do it this way just because like there was no point on me rebuilding all of this in React.
Hmm.
It just would have taken forever. So essentially, oh, we're deploying to Netlify, but it's the same idea on Vercel. You can generate an OG image with their edge functions or Netlify's edge functions, and so if I come to like an example of one of them, so let's go to dev card. So this is the one I built that you see right here, and basically there's some logic in here. I have it all in one file because it's really like just for this particular image. But like let's get to like how you build it. So like there's some stuff. There's also some trade-offs you make by doing it this way. Like when you're in the edge functions, at least in the context of Netlify, it doesn't, even though it's in the same domain, it has no knowledge of the Next.js code base. So like
Mm,
I can't import stuff there from there. Or like if I had a package where I could share it, probably
right.
wouldn't be an issue. So there's some stuff where, and I'm conscious about this, but like I've literally I couldn't import like a React icon, so I basically view source and I grabbed the SVG and pasted it in. But that's neither here nor there. I kind of want to show you how you do this and why it's a little tedious. So the first thing is like so you basically just it's an edge function, so it runs close to the user, and then I'm basically getting some data. I'm also loading up a font here, kind of to your point about how you're saying like just all you have to do is say font.
Yeah, yeah.
So but I'm getting some data about like the user, so I'm just doing a promise.all here to get all this stuff. Um, and then I get all this information, and then at this point you return this image response, and this is where you build out your JSX. And it's a little finicky. I think on Vercel with their OG image offering you can use Tailwind. On the Netlify
Okay.
stuff you can't use Tailwind as far as
Interesting.
I
Okay.
know. um, Also, this is it's my old coworker Matt Kane, who you know,
Oh
who
yeah.
did like did unpick, and I think he helped with some of the Cloudinary. Or I think he contributed to some Cloudinary stuff. I'm not sure. Um, but he created this. He basically ported the Vercel OG image to Netlify, so that's what I'm using. Um,
Super cool.
and this all works fine. And there's stuff you can use like Flex and all that. Um, there's like I was telling you before the stream, there's some weird stuff I ran into. Like I used inline Flex at one point, and I just get a blank screen. So I my guess is because it's not in an actual browser like in with a rendering engine, there's probably some limitations, I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but this is also, it's just a little tedious. Like I was basically moving stuff around, just setting positions and stuff. In some cases it's not absolute, but when it got to putting the data and stuff, because this doesn't need to be responsive, it's like literally like it's never going to change dimensions. For some
Right.
things it was just easier to say just absolute because it's always going to be there and stuff. But it was just a little more, I found it a little more tedious because like basically I'm just writing all this React to build that page, which is still cool.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Totally.
but I really do want to see if I can do this in Cloudinary, because I think the one difference is, so like we have like the template, like the background here, like I mentioned. So like that would be kind of like what we just did. So that would be a no-brainer.
Yep.
The avatar, it's basically just getting a person's avatar from GitHub. So like, I guess yeah, that brings up an interesting question. Can you um, can you like, because like right now what we did is I put your headshot in my media gallery, but can you bring in an image that isn't part
Yep.
of? Okay, so okay, that
So we have
answers
something called
that.
the fetch API,
Okay,
which what it'll do is it'll when you make the request to the image that's referencing it, it'll download that image and then incorporate it into it. So yeah, um,
okay,
I
cool.
forget. I think instead of public ID, you specify a URL for overlays, particularly.
Okay,
If you're doing it for the base layer, you can still pass in that, but then you would set the delivery type to fetch. So depending on where you're trying to add that remote image, you can support it in
okay,
both locations. Now,
okay.
for this, I wonder if it
Yeah.
makes sense to do it as underlays. I'm assuming that those are transparent holes,
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
it might be a
exactly.
little bit more flexible. That way, you don't have to perfectly align the pixels of
Yeah.
the border radius there. So you could just like do an underlay, position it just like the overlay, maybe give like an extra pixel or two too big so that it creates
Yeah,
the really nice.
100. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to do with this, but I couldn't. I think there was some issues with indices in this,
Mm,
so I wasn't able to do that. So like I basically had I, I basically had to fit that perfectly, which was a bit of a bit annoying, but
I can
uh,
imagine.
I think it turned out okay. But yeah, I would totally want it to be
It
like
turned
that
out
was my
amazing.
goal initially, like to put it under. So okay,
Yeah.
so the underlays for sure, and then this would just be the smaller one too. Um, I think the big question I have is so like right now, if we just come back to the code here, so like I was saying, so this is a function that runs, and then let me go back to the top here. Sorry. Um,
Also, I just noticed there's the lobster on the UI. Is that from Todd
oh,
doing the Todd earlier?
yeah. There's yeah. I have there's a few. You can do a donut, a poop emoji. I just popped them on there, and then there's also
I'm
like a
offended there's
pro.
no space jellyfish.
Yeah, I need. Well, you just send me one. I'll pop it in. I do have space jelly on my laptop. I can't show it right now,
Nice, nice, nice.
but yeah. So if we come back to, I think this is the main question I have, because like all that stuff about moving stuff and underlays that makes total sense and is
Mhm,
doable. So right now, so the functional load and it's gonna say, okay, go make some data requests to get the information about that I'm gonna need in this particular card. And then at the end, like I build the card like I showed you, and it just returns this image response, which is the image. Um, for Cloudinary, because like one thing I'm trying to avoid potentially is like if we come to the page where it's in, like the page will load, like we're still using the pages router in Next.js, so there's like get server side props that happen, and and then the page loads because we have a lot of data on a lot of the pages. Most of that stuff's loaded client side. um, but the thing with the right now, by having this as an edge function, the data calls to get the information for the image happen only when you actually request the image.
mhm.
And I I don't know if this is possible, but like I mean I could definitely still make the API calls, and then I just pass that into the Cloudinary image function
Mhm.
to build the URL. But there's no I guess there's two things I'm wondering. I'm wondering if like I could still build the Cloudinary URL in the edge function and it somehow redirects to that so that I'm not getting that hit of those function calls. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. So,
That
couple interesting thoughts here. First of all, so of course, like I think from our perspective, it's usually always better to just like deliver the Cloudinary URL when we can, not because we don't want you to use other services, but just because like,
yeah,
it makes the most sense. So, and especially if you already have that data to plug it in, that'd probably be ideal. Now, if you don't
yeah,
have that, there's no reason you couldn't wrap it with the edge function, and then I don't know if you would want to do a redirect. I don't know, like from a open graph
from the
standard
OG.
perspective, I don't know if that would cause issues. It's worth testing. But
Yeah,
alternatively, what you can do is just simply download the image file um,
yeah,
from within it and return it. And my understanding is Netlify would cache that, right? So that it would
yeah,
only be expensive the first time, and after that should be fine.
yeah, yeah. There's
Um,
that, or I wonder if we could do yeah, because
And
the
then there's
thing
another
is,
solution that I think about that is very underused in Cloudinary is something called custom functions or remote functions as well. And what
okay,
you can do is you can basically write a function that you can run through that pipeline, and you can even pass in like different variable parameters into it so that you could.
okay,
I haven't tested it with remote data, but what you could potentially do is exactly what you're doing, but it's part of the Cloudinary processing pipeline. And
okay,
you have two ways of doing that. You can either use WebAssembly functions that you would upload to Cloudinary, and then you would just reference that. Or
okay,
you could use serverless like endpoints, or I think really any endpoint that you want. It doesn't have to be a serverless function.
okay,
But what I've done as an example in the past, I tried this with both Netlify and Vercel, is essentially just set up an endpoint using like a custom or a serverless function, and
hmm,
it has it expected. Like it'll post a certain information to it, and then you'll return. I think you just return the image response, and then it'll process it like any other image. So I'm just imagining a
okay,
scenario where you pass in like a particular variable so that you can read
yeah,
that in the remote function. It basically makes
yeah.
that API request, returns the image, and then you can continue doing whatever else you want with Cloudinary.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, so
I
there's
can send
definitely
you
some
examples if
options
you
here.
need it.
Yeah, 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 no, because I definitely want to check this out because like it's it's cool that I can do this in React and stuff, but it is a bit tedious to be honest to do it because it's not. The other thing too is there's no feedback loop aside from refreshing the page. You don't get
Mm,
like fast refresh because it's not DOM elements.
mm,
It renders the image and then I have to make changes and I have to like do a hard refresh of the page and stuff.
yeah.
Um, so no, yeah, definitely send me some of that info because it's something I definitely want to explore. Like we already have some OG images made already, but I'm still thinking of longer term, you know, and so like it would definitely be worth looking into it. Because the other thing too is like obviously Cloudinary caches thing. I did have a question about the dynamic images. So like if we come back to the image here, if I so
And I posted a
this in
link in the chat just so you know, the Twitch chat,
okay,
to an example of the Netlify one. It might be broke because it's a little bit old,
okay,
but that's essentially what you'll need to do. There's instructions there.
okay, cool. No, I'll definitely check that out, and if there is something broken, I can probably fix it.
Sounds good.
Um, yeah, so like right now, so like we're looking at this image. This is a snapshot of information about me. But like for example, the open PRs and the velocity that changes. Like it's not a one time image. So like right now, what I do is I cache it just at the Netlify CDN level. So like after I think right now I have it at 2 hours, but I could probably up it. But like let's
Mm,
just say for argument's sake, once a day, the next time you get it, it should regenerate it. So like I know how to do that in serverless functions, but how does that work in the Cloudinary context? Because like obviously Cloudinary is definitely gonna cache these things. Like they leverage their CDN and the browser just primitives. Like you can cache a URL, right? So
yeah.
I'm curious about that as
So
well.
I don't know how much control you have over setting the expiration directly as part of the request. I know like there are mechanisms for you to bust the cache. So like if you want to
Okay.
invalidate everything, like you can certainly do that. I think generally speaking, like because a lot of it is intended to be dynamic URLs. Like if you
Yeah.
had one that had 45 and another one that had 46, like the
Okay.
idea is it would inherently be cached, based off of that value. So,
Oh, okay, okay,
um,
gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I
yeah,
should
like it would be a
the
new
data.
URL,
Yeah,
it would process the new image. And, I could see like in that instance that maybe you would want that to refresh less often. So it's less,
yeah.
transformations or whatever. But I think that would inherently be like what the idea would be for it.
Okay, okay, yeah. So I could do something like just generate a content hash of the data or something, and then just make that part of the URL somewhere, or pass in, like you said, like for example, like if the text of that particular area, like the 259, if it changes to 260, that's a brand new URL. So
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah, okay, gotcha, yeah, yeah. And I would okay, so there's probably nothing I need to do in that respect then because if I were going the full Cloudinary route, like the 45, the 1D, the high, all those things, those would be overlays. So like if they change, then the URL changes, and then I just automatically benefit from Cloudinary just saying it's a new URL. Let me cache this. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. And one
Okay,
thing that you'll also need to consider though is the social network caching the image because they have
yeah,
their own caching mechanism, and there's not much you can do about that. But something that a good idea that WebDev Cody showed me, or that he was talking about, is if you have a share button on your page,
yeah,
what you can do is tack on a query parameter onto that to basically bust the
yeah.
cache. Now that doesn't help if they're sharing the base URL, of course, but like that'll at least help refresh for that particular share instance.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was thinking about that too because yeah, I do know they cache aggressively, and in fact, like this is the image I was just showing you there. That's the new one for our profile pages. But when I went to go test it on LinkedIn, I saw the
Mm,
old one. Um, but yeah, so that's probably a good idea. Just tagging on, just like date equals today's date, like not the time, but like just like
something, yeah.
yeah, Yeah,
And
no,
I
it's a
I know
great idea.
Facebook has a social media tool that
Oh, you went mute again.
it's because I switched over to
Yeah.
try to go to LinkedIn to try to see if I could find what I was looking for. But, Facebook has, a social media tool that you can
Okay,
a debugger that you can revalidate. I don't know if LinkedIn does. That's what I was about to look up. They might have
okay.
one. Twitter used to have a tool, but I
Yeah,
think
I
it
used to
stopped
use
being
that.
maintained, and yeah, and I don't think that it's
They
yeah,
they killed it. Yeah,
yeah, it's a
yeah.
bummer.
Cue
But,
the cue. Yeah, cue the Vince McMahon meme.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay, no. Okay, so I think this is super feasible to do. Then, like the other thing is like I could still make these. Like I could still make the data calls like on the server like when the page renders is I was just trying to avoid that because just because of page load times because like if somebody never shares it then like basically that compute ran for no reason, you know what I mean? Um
That's not
but I'm
information that's already on the page, though?
uh no well some of it maybe yeah, some of it is but not
Not
necessarily
everything.
from the server side, you know.
Okay.
And but that brings yeah, because the other thing too is like you wouldn't want it as far as I know, you can't modify the OG image client side because when
No.
you share it, that's just not gonna
Yeah, it
fly.
has to be in the initial response, yeah.
Yeah. So I could take a peek if like yeah, definitely if like we're serving it server side that data, I could totally like just pop it in right away. But in some cases it's not the scenario. Like we have like workspace pages and that's like there's some minimal info. You
Yeah.
know what? I think there's a bunch of cases where I probably already have the data, so like it should be fine. Like even our repository pages, like um, yeah, you know what? I think in most cases I probably have most of the information. This one's a little different, like just because some of the data has to get crunched for this user data, but
Mm.
um, anyways, all that to say, lots of food for thought, but it's definitely something I definitely want to check out and spike on. And that's I'm definitely gonna check out those resources you sent.
Yeah.
We're we're pretty much at time. Honestly, I feel like I could talk to you the rest of the day, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
it's
you
always
got
fun.
work to do as well. But but in all seriousness, this was like super helpful because like uh, yes, we showcased some Cloudinary stuff, but this is stuff like I actually need, which so it's been super helpful, honestly. Um, and yeah, no, I definitely encourage other folks. So, like if you're building OG images and I don't know about you, Colby, but like anytime I share a link and I don't see a OG image pop up, I'm
Yeah.
like, is it broken or it's
Yep.
like so it's almost like I would say table stakes for social sharing nowadays. Like,
Absolutely.
um, yeah,
It makes such a big difference, you know?
yeah, cool, cool, cool. I guess before we wrap up, I know you're working on a new course. I'm not sure when it's dropping. I don't know if you wanted to speak a bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm still working on it. It's, gonna be a full stack Next.js course. We're gonna be,
Okay,
I'm gonna walk through a lot of, like, the Next.js 15, the React 19 stuff. We're gonna be
okay,
using Clerk, Zada, and Drizzle, and as well as adding payments with Stripe. So it's gonna be,
okay,
everything that you need to know. If you wanna get updates, you can go to spacejelly.dev/Next.js. Um,
okay.
but I don't have a launch date yet, but I'm about to hit production, so I'm hoping it's gonna be sooner than later.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna grab that. Actually, I'll just go back to my screen share for a second here. And so you can follow along here. I'm gonna just copy the URL and I'm just gonna drop it in the chat for anybody who's interested.
Appreciate that.
Um, cool. And yeah, no, excited to for when this lands.
Yeah, man.
If you need a beta tester, happy to test out some things.
Sounds great. I
Um,
appreciate it.
cool, cool. Okay, well, with that, Colby, anything else you wanted to mention before we call it a day? Or
The only thing is, if you give Next.js a try, anybody, and you have any feature requests or feedback or whatever it is, please feel free to either drop me a message or drop something in the issues. I'm, just trying to make the DX with this as great as possible. So,
yeah,
happy to help where I can.
cool, cool. Well, thanks again for hanging. I know you're a busy man, so really appreciate you taking the time. And
Of course.
thanks everybody in the chat for the great questions and the shout outs today.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And I might stream a bit on my own this week. I've been pretty busy the past few weeks, and I'm off next week. I'm going camping, so there won't be a stream next week. But when we're back, I'm gonna be hanging out with. Let me drop the schedule. I think it's with Diana from Vonage.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be hanging with Diana Pham from Vonage on the 26th. We're gonna have some fun. I haven't dropped what it is yet, but she's got something cooking, and she mailed me something. So
She mailed
it's
you something. Nice.
so
Man,
it's
I
good.
should have mailed you something. What's going on?
Oh yeah, no, that's not what I meant. But I wouldn't say no. I still got some space jelly swag,
Nice,
so
nice.
appreciate it. Cool, cool. Well, if you don't mind just staying on one sec, Colby, everybody else, we'll see you when I'm back from camping. And yeah, thanks again, everybody.
Later, everybody.